Let's see the next article of March 16, 2022. If you like the video, please do share, subscribe, comment, and like. For a firm in distress, a special situation funds must come into play before a company defaults. SEBI came out with dedicated regulatory framework for a special situation funds, and RBI approved the new dual structure bad bank NARCL, IDRCL. Both these reforms are aimed at solving India's bad debt problem, while the bad bank is an upgraded version of the existing asset restructuring companies, that is ARC model. SSF is an alternative novel concept, a special situation fund. India suffers from chronic bad debt problem. Higher bad debt requires higher provisioning, lock up more capital in the banking system. This reduces the credit supply and hurts the economic growth. To overcome this problem, bank and financial institutions were initially allowed to sell their stressed loans only to ARC. Now they can sell to SSF, that is Special Situation Fund. 2. To transfer of stressed loan to ARC and SSF would release the capital locked up in the banking system and help improve the credit supply. SEBI has introduced SSF as a distinct subcategory of Category 1 Alternative Investment Fund AIF. Regulation did not permit AIF to participate in the secondary market for corporate loans extended by the bank and NBFC. The new regulation now creates a special subcategory of AIF, namely SSF, which are allowed to participate in the secondary market for loan extended to companies. This regulatory construct, however, arises a deeper policy questions. Why not allow SSF to participate in the secondary market for corporate debt even before underlying company defaults or in debt obligation? After all, default is a lagging indication of financial stress. If the lenders and bond investors could offload the potentially stressed asset to SSF before defaulting in the secondary market. Given their structure, SSF are likely to acquire sufficient debt in a distressed company to acquire control or to influence its subsequent insolvency and restructuring process to maximize its value through business turnaround or sale. That would ultimately help generate decent returns for their investors with their limited life cycle. To realize their true potential, SSF must allow full participation across the entire spectrum of secondary market for corporate debt and not just confined to post-default stage. Okay, next article that we are moving into is freedom of religion not absolute in India, High Court. Unlike the US and Australia, where freedom of religion is defined in an absolute term, freedom of religion under the Constitution of India is subject to restriction. While rejecting the plea to protect the right of Muslim girls to wear hijab in class, we are of the considered opinion that wearing hijab by Muslim women does not make up an essential religious practice in Islamic faith. The full bench compromises Karnataka Chief Justice Ritu Raj Avasti and Justice Krishna Dikshit, Justice J.M. Kasi said, we are of considered opinion that the prescription of school uniform is a reasonable restriction, constitutionally permissible, which the students cannot object to. It stated that Article 25 of the Constitution, which provides for the freedom of religion, has also placed a reasonable restriction on the freedom of religion. Okay, whichever be the religion, whatever is stated in the scripture does not become per se mandatory in wholesale way. It is on this premise, the Apex Court in Shaira Banu prescribed 1400-year-old pernicious practice of triple talaq in Islam. Next article that we are moving into is about medical device draft policy aims proposals. New draft medical devices policy aimed at reducing the India's import dependence in this sector and proposes tax rebate and refund to incentivize the export of such devices and related technology projects, higher government spending in high risk projects in sector, and single window clearance system for licensing of medical devices. Draft National Policy for Medical Devices 2022, Department of Pharmaceutical under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizer. Currently, nearly 80% of medical devices sold in India are imported. The government aimed to reduce the import dependency to nearly 30% in the next 10 years, as India looked to become one of the top 5 global manufacturing hub for medical devices by 2047. Medical device sector has so far been regulated under the provision of Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940. The policy also aims to increase India's per capita spend on medical device, currently $3 compared to global average of $47. That's all. No economy article is important here. Zomato Ion Zomato merger, that is Blinkit Zomato I merger, that is what given here. Negative compromise. There is no article is important here.